Welcome, everyone. I'm excited this morning. This is Ken Burgess, Vice President of Business Development with New You Life, and I've got a special guest that I've been wanting to interview for a number of months. Actually, I think we were in the Connecticut area when I was introduced to this gentleman, Lou Paradise, and I was told by Alexi Goldstein this is one of the greater homeopathic formulators, and apparently he had been using one of your products or a product in his shop for years. So I had a chance to spend some time with Lou and get to know him, and have wanted since that time to get him on a Zoom type interview so he can share some of the things that he's learned over the years about homeopathy and also about New You Life. So as a beginning, let me just say that Lou Paradise is from New York. His offices and his plant are in Rhinebeck, New York, and he's the chief of research of one and a founder of Topical Biomedics. Lou is an accomplished natural biomedicines researcher and a product developer, as well as an expert on non-analgesic pain management. He has over 4 decades of experience working with a select combination of homeopathic biomedicines that lead onto his flagship breakthrough, Topical Pain Relief and Healing Products line. We also want to tell everyone that Lou is a decorated Marine, and I think a number of our distributors and customers will be excited to hear that. And Lou, first of all, let's thank you for your service. I know it was a number of years ago, but that probably was the reason that kind of started you out on your mission of where you're headed and what you want to do. So Lou, say hi to everybody.
Goodness gracious, it is an honor, privilege, pleasure to be able to have time with you, Ken, and the fabulous audience, our beautiful family of New You Life distributors and customers. And so I'm just absolutely thrilled and honored to have this moment in time with you and all of our friends out there in New You Life Nation. Well,
thank you, Lou. Lou, let's get right into it. Let's talk about homeopathy, where it started, how it started, who developed it, how it's lasted all these years, and who's even using it today as one of their major forms of medicine. Let's get right into it.
Sure. One of the things that most people may not be aware of is Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, who is actually, Ken, I don't know how many people know this, he's the only physician, he's the father of homeopathy, the only physician honored with a statue in Washington, D.C. And he is so imagine, wow. Out of all the people around the world, you think, okay, how many other physicians do we know that might have gotten that honor? He's the only one that got the honor of having a statue in Washington, D.C. He was a physician in Germany. He was not happy about the current, at the time, medical protocol. This would include leeches for bloodletting, uses of arsenic, mercury, lead. Yeah, if you heard all those words, you're saying, whoa, no. And he said, there's got to be a better way. You can't treat the person by just the symptom as a condition of the disease. Something else got to be done. What do we do to find a way to really help the whole person, the whole body? And he was involved in the process before, germ therapy, infectious disease, antibiotics, sterilization, surgical procedure. So this is a real pioneer. He was not as successful at first with the idea of what he was trying to accomplish until he ran into a very interesting circumstance that surrounded malaria as a disease state. And everybody knows that back in the day, quinine was from the cinchona tree, the bark of the cinchona tree, was what they used as treatment for malaria, part of the whole protocol back then, because that's what they used. He started to look at it and saying, wait a minute, so what's up with, why is this natural substance, so good at helping with this particular circumstance? And he decided that he was going to experiment on himself. So he took a quite concentrated dose of made a tea out of the bark and drank it and got all the symptoms of malaria, although he didn't have malaria. He came to understand something in the mechanism of the body's defending itself and healing itself, the powerhouse miracle that it is, was needed, something needed to stimulate how the body would respond to its own antibodies, its own immune processes. When he did this and tried it from a chemical dilution, that means he started to think, well, maybe it's a dilution thing. Maybe it's something smaller. If I get smaller dosages, would I have the same response? And when he started with chemical dilution, that means we'll give you the homeopathic kind of side of it. Take 9 parts of water, 1 part of the raw material, and then try to see if there was any result, and just mix it chemically, dilute it chemically. Nothing happened. He still got symptoms, lesser symptoms at the more diluted process. Then he somehow came to decide, what if I took that same dilution, created what is called serial dilution, where you shake vigorously the same combination of water and raw material, what would happen then? And his whole entire philosophy, the cogentness of steps of platform just took off for him. He started to see that when he treated patients with malaria in these dosages that were succussed, we're going to talk a little bit more about succussion, that they actually had an enormous response, more so than just giving them quinine alone. They had a better response, they recovered faster, and that's how the whole process started, kind of almost by accident and by curiosity. So it's really interesting in Hahnemann's case that the other discovery was not about the material or chemical aspect of this homeopathic, as they started to call it, the like cures like kind of guiding principle. Something else was happening to cause the body to respond, and that's where homeopathy gets very, very interesting.
So he went on to really develop the whole concept of homeopathy and start using it. And this was in what year? Was it the 1700s?
It was actually, he was born 1755. He started somewhere in the 1810, 1820s. That's where he began his process.
I found it fascinating when you told me how many countries, give us the rundown of how many countries even today, and how many people choose this type of medicine as their choice?
Yeah, this idea of answering the question, and does homeopathy work? Well, everybody who knows Somaderm knows there must be something to this homeopathic thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a product. We wouldn't have this incredible array of people from every walk of life being affected most positively and coming aboard with our project. So the real part of the fascination with homeopathic medicine is it wasn't just back in the day and then stopped, obviously, as we have it today. So if homeopathy doesn't work, why in the world does 300 to 500 million actually of people every single day use this as their primary medicine? And we're talking about in over 50 countries. In fact, it is the #1 alternative medicine, and it is really a medical protocol, believe it or not. It's a medical model. And it's practiced in 40 out of 42 European cities or European countries, including Asian countries. Asia, a lot of the Ayurvedic medicine kind of falls right in line with homeopathic medicine. And as a direct result of the studies that have been going on since the 1800s all the way through to today, the population of people who use homeopathy is versus who does not, population of folks in those populations, in those communities, actually fare to be healthier, more vital than the folks who don't use homeopathy.
And you were telling me that royal families around the world, it's their first choice of medicine, which means a number of European countries, a number of Asian countries. Did you also tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was practiced as a first choice of medicine even here in the United States at one time?
Homeopathy was dominant. The American Medical Association didn't combine itself until 1897 or thereabouts. So homeopathic medicine, homeopathic schools, homeopathic hospitals were a dominant medical model here in the United States in the early 1900s.
And we're talking about some of the premiers like Boston University, Stanford, New York Medical.
Yeah. So we're looking at some prestigious colleges that started its roots on understanding medicine, and the idea of treating the whole body was something that wasn't just conceptual, they started to realize these philosophies were essential in order to bring about the changes necessary in a growing society, especially in the United States of America. Before sewer systems were incorporated and all kinds of disease states were out there, they effectively treated. One of the things I don't think we shared, and maybe something you'll find interesting, in the 1918 flu pandemic, the treatment protocol of homeopathy was so successful that the majority, 70 or 80% of the people that were treated homeopathically were brought outside in the air, got vitamin D3, were really given the whole body, kind of this whole understanding of the body's treatment. They not only survived and thrived, but conversely, when they were giving salicylates, aspirin derivatives, and kept people inside and try to break the fever. Fever is one of the most important mechanisms of killing a virus. And when you take that away, the virus will flourish. So in 1918, the homeopathic version, the homeopathic treatment protocol proved to be the most successful even back then. Again, following that whole idea that it was such a dominant medical model at that moment in time.
Incredible. You know,
Yeah.
let's get into it. We know that we call, of course, Somaderm a homeopathic formula, and we want our readers to know, our listeners to know, that there is actually a pharmacopoeia of homeopathic medicine. Pharmacopoeia, there's a US and there's a European, and our formula is actually listed on the European pharmacopoeia of homeopathic medicine. So let's get into more of how it works. We've often talked about the what do we call it? The succussion electronic. We've talked about the microenvironment. Why don't we discuss that, how that actually is? Because people have said, especially lately, there's so little amounts in your product. Let's get in and discuss why that's important, because it actually is a formula that we follow.
Absolutely. And one of the things I think kind of an earmark for me, a good deal of my studies were in metabolites and hormonal compounds, especially as it relates to microcirculation and lymphatics. So maybe we can just give people a sense of the body's powerful nature as we discuss how we go into homeopathy, kind of give people a sense of what that microenvironment is so powerful and why that is actually physiologically and medically proven, scientifically proven to be the case. When we look at the human body, you know, this is where the natural pharmacology comes from, the nature's pharmacy. The microenvironment becomes this powerful place, and here's how we can demonstrate how powerful it is. Everybody knows we have a circulatory system that gives blood, gets the blood from all the points in the body to all the cells, the organs, every single glandular surface, as we talk about the pituitary and adrenals and thyroid and everything, liver function, kidneys, every single thing. So when we take a look at the breakdown, and doctors are often fascinated by this, I was blown away myself. This goes back 30 years ago for me, that the body's makeup, now we all heard about arteries, and arteries are very important. And if you don't pay attention to them, you could be in big trouble, right? But they only represent 11.5%. 11.5% of the whole circulatory activity. Veins, very important also, 14.5% only. Microcirculation, 74% of the entire circulatory activity. In fact, it's so massive, it's considered an organ of the cardiovascular system. Here's why that's important. We think about all oxygen, all nutrients, and all waste byproducts go through this little tiny microcirculation system. Tiny meaning the capillaries are small, the vastness of it is not. So each and everything that happens within the circulation, microcirculation, especially since microcirculation and its normal impedance, its ability to be healthy, keep your body healthy, keep disease states at a minimum, keep your health and vitality moving, comes in there's four frequencies that are essential in order to keep microcirculation healthy. So imagine it's the microcirculation that gives us the oxygen, nutrient delivery to 70 trillion cells of the body. And it's essential for people to understand it, because I think once they understand the microenvironment, it's easier to understand the homeopathic microdosing environment that gives us this opportunity to really administer to the body. And it's kind of What we're really doing is we're resetting the frequencies of the body as it relates to how the body actually speaks to itself from a cellular point of view, even DNA. Every single thing that we know for sure about DNA and cell replication. So when we look at homeopathic medicine, if it wasn't for succussion, to kind of get, how does it work? Why is it vibrant? How does that process really come to benefit the human body? Well, the human body's microcirculation and microenvironment is everything to the macro environment of keeping us healthy and vital. So when we look at succussion, just as a point of reference, the succussion is a shaking of this, as I mentioned before, of the each step of how we get to a point of where we are in an X dilution. We talked about, anywhere the 8X or the 6X or the 30X, as we talked with regard to somaderm. What happens at that moment in time, the frequency, this electrical signature frequency actually conducts itself. It starts to come out of the material and ends up in the fluid, ends up in the water, ends up in the medicine itself. It's what we call a mapping of the process by which homeopathic medicine speaks to the cells of the body. So we look at this electronic or this electrical signature frequency, and each one of the medicines has a frequency that matches the cellular activity of the human body. Every single organ, every single cell of skin, every single glandular surface. And this elegant, incredible somaderm mixture of those three triad of this engine of homeopathic medicine helps to give the body a reset. So in other words, this electrical signature signals through the microcirculation a targeting of where the symptom is, where the problem is, where the body needs to get back into balance. The homeopathic medicines are to create balance, to create an opportunity for the body to reset its normal health and healing and vitality. And the way it does it is not through material change and or chemical change, but through an electrical frequency signature, where the homeopathic medicine literally goes into the body, speaks to the cell. The cell is electrical in nature, frequency. When the homeopathic medicine sees the cell that's been off track, just as an example, it's like the operating system of a computer. You get the operating manual and say, okay, how am I going to reset this computer because it's bogged down? What's going on here? And what do you do with it? You go back into the coding, you go back into the reset. And what it does is it transfers this information it has on the material, on the homeopathic medicine, to the cell and gives the cell the operating information it once had that it got off track with so it can restore itself. So what it does is it retraces its step back to track it's supposed to run on and then goes right into homeostasis. Homeostasis is where health, healing, vitality, energy, transfers of every important thing to keep us vital, lives and breathes. So,
Lou, I love what you're saying, and I'm reminded of a number of years back. For about 10 years, I worked with a lady by the name of Beverly Rubik. I mentioned to you her name, a PhD, renowned PhD researcher here in the U.S. that speaks to medical institutions and PhDs all over the world on her research of subtle energies. And this is really what you're referring to. And I think you've even made it more clear in recent times is that the energies of the body matching up with the energies of some of the ingredients that we put into the body or put on the body. And this is really what you're getting at, these subtle energies that match up, one giving, one receiving. Am I correct?
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And so when we look at somaderm, when we look at how a receptor, how this electrical conversation, this biological conversation cells are having with one another, homeopathic medicine is designed very specifically as innate intelligent medicine that's targeting the very specific area of a symptom, not as an extension of a disease state or a condition, let's say, but more so to put it back into homeostasis, to put it back into dynamic balance. So these subtle energies that happen from every single living thing has a communication system in electrical frequency to speak to the cell in the body. That is where the body is receptive to being stimulated in a natural way to stimulate its own release of its own pharmacology. In the case of Somaderm, when we talk about this natural release of HGH, we talk about the idea that this motor, this phenomenal homeopathic engine in the middle of the Somaderm product, that is the main driver of looking at how the body gets stimulated naturally. Because if it wasn't for the three working together, and the endocrine system has to work together, as we know, the thyroid and the adrenals and the pituitary. And how cool this is, Ken, that this intelligent medicine in Somaderm, when they talk of somatropin as homeopathic HGH, right? When we look at it, it actually stimulates. This is, to me, is always very cool. There's two sides of this little P-type pituitary. There's the posterior side, and then there's the anterior side. This intelligent medicine speaks to the anterior side of the pituitary. And the reason why that's important is because that's where the pituitary releases HGH. So when we look at how the electrical response to a cell, communication that it's having in the body, how DNA works to protect chromosomes and telomeres, how it looks at the health and vitality of the body. It's an all electrical mapping, electrical signature, it's signaling, and it works exactly the way the whole universe works pretty much. And the microcirculation, and why microdosing then becomes vital, because if we put too much of a chemical compound in the body, we get side effects. We may get some benefit, but we get side effects. When we use homeopathic medicine, this intelligent, elegant medicine, especially the ones found in Somaderm, stimulate these natural responses to put those incredible hormonal compounds into balance for cascading effect that literally puts it back into homeostasis. So if the body is a true healing, repairing machine, which it is, the only question is, can we help the body get to the point of balance to be the miracle that it is for all the health benefits that we want, especially in longevity and looking at slowing down ailments and states of disrepair that help us to maintain health and vitality throughout. All of that can happen absolutely positively by the secret kind of stuff that Hahnemann unlocked when he realized what he had in looking at homeopathic medicine from something that actually matched the body's need to get back to stimulating the natural responses so the body can get to homeostasis, stay healthy, be vibrant, and all of the cascading effects that we see from Somaderm. And going back even to the 40 benefits that come from those 20 herbal compounds, similar process by the delivery system that makes the engine of homeopathic work, the delivery system of organic benefits of the materials itself and antioxidants and all sorts of incredible organic compounds that we deliver. But each one of those compounds, each one of those botanicals, those select beautiful botanicals, thank you very much, fabulous Alexi Goldstein, because it's a brilliant thing, really, has its own individual electrical signature, frequency, that speaks again specifically to the body's specific portions, naturally helping the body do what it wants to do. Get back on track, get that information, get that operating manual back in front of me, let my cells go up and boogie and kick their heels up so we can live a life that's vibrant, healthy. We see the benefits, and there's no secret then as to why we have this fabulous product with a triad homeopathic engine with a surrounding incredible, brilliantly put together botanical formulation that adds all this value to stimulating the body's natural response so that it can be what it always was meant to be, the natural healing machine that can deliver and make us feel incredible, make us feel vibrant, make us feel alive naturally as the body wants to, not overstimulating it and doing other wacky stuff. It's natural, intelligent, divine kind of processes by which the whole entire planet, let alone the whole human body, works. And we've got this in a product, liquid gold in an elegant bottle now. Thank you very much.
Well, and Lou, thank you very much. I'm fascinated with the background and research that you have. And I know you've certainly put an incredible amount of your life into that research. I want our listeners to know, and we want to certainly thank Lou for taking the time. Lou frequently serves as an expert speaker in the use of natural biomedicines and the creation of sustainable healthcare models. And you can tell by his information he shared with us this morning, he's well-rounded in it. He speaks nationally on a syndicated radio shows and conducts pain management seminars and webinars for various audiences. Lou has participated in addressing compliance issues related to natural medicines with federal agencies and regularly speaks on clinical audience on the use of the company's proprietary technologies in the treatment of acute chronic pain. Of course, that goes along with his very, very popular Topperson product. That's a whole nother subject. I did share with a couple of our doctors on the medical advisory board as we're going to have them in this same type of video program. They were so excited to hear that you'd be on and said that they use Topperson in their practice constantly and with a lot of people. So Lou, we know you're renowned for that. We thank you for taking your time today to share with us, the layperson, on just the magic of homeopathy and why it has been such an important medicine around the world and still is an important medicine to many people today, and how Somaderm and New You Life tie into that. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this. I know our people are going to be excited about getting this recording out. We're going to wrap that up. And Lou, any final thoughts?
Well, I think the one thing I want to always let everybody know, I've looked it up. There's no Hall of Fame for critics. I think the most important thing is if we can help arm people with information so they're not kind of taken off guard. Well, that stuff can't possibly work. And there's a whole other thing that we could talk about with regard to proving that homeopathic medicine not only works. I mean, we don't have to prove it very far with Somaderm, but I want to say that don't get discouraged. Get all the no's out of the way until the yeses come, because they do. Make sure that you are born to be successful in life. You were born to be successful, not only professionally but personally. That your life matters, and if you're involved in this team of people, this family environment project at New Your Life and Somaderm, your whole entire uplift of life not only is going to happen for you and your family, but you're going to help change and transform the lives of many, many people. We're not selling anything. I think personally, Ken, I think what we're really doing is we're helping people to find that they can they can have their restoration of their hope, their quality of life. That's what this is really all about.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us. Lou, thank you for your sharing all of the information you've spent a life researching. And to everyone, have a great day.